Living an international or Five Flags lifestyle means you will be traveling the world a lot. And right now, I'm going to give you 5 travel hacks that I use that really reduce my stress and really help me travel efficiently and effectively when I travel all over the world, which is a regular occurrence in my life and hopefully someday will be yours. I am Caleb Jones. This is Sovereign CEO. I teach people just like you how to set up location-independent businesses, move to a less bad country, or set up an international backup plan and do all these things for very little money. Let's get right into it. Item number 1. Whenever you land at a new airport in a new country, and in most countries you can do this, to purchase a local SIM card in that country. That means that you will instantly have internet in terms of your mobile data wherever you are. You don't have to be one of these people who, I can't believe people still do this, where you're constantly running around trying to find a Wi-Fi on your phone, which makes travel by Uber, WhatsApp, and a bunch of other communications really difficult when you don't have the internet. In many countries around the world, you can buy a SIM card for as cheaply as $2 US. Sometimes it's $10 US. At the very most, sometimes it's $30 US. It really depends on the country. This takes care of so many possible little problems. It is definitely worth doing. Whenever I land in a new country that I've never been to before, I immediately ask, where can I buy a SIM card? And in most international airports, you can purchase them there. Worst case scenario, if they don't offer that, you go to any major mall and you can get a SIM card there for very, very cheaply. Now, some objections to this. Well, Caleb, if I do that, then I lose my current phone number and I need to have my current phone number active for whatever reason. First of all, I think that's not necessary if you think ahead and plan ahead. For example, if you use any VoIP services or things like Google Voice, you don't need to have an actual physical phone number that is actually attached to your phone. You can also set up WhatsApp and apps like this to attach to one phone number on one SIM card, then pull that SIM card out and switch with another SIM card and it maintains that same phone number. And remember, you can have 2 installations of WhatsApp on one phone. You can have WhatsApp Standard and WhatsApp for Business, which is basically the same app. And that way you can maintain 2 WhatsApp phone numbers for each one. Perfectly fine, regardless of what SIM card is actually in the phone. Remember that you're going to mostly use this SIM card for web access, for internet access, and not necessarily make phone calls or send SMS texts. At least I never do. However, if that's just not an option and you absolutely need a physical phone number and a physical SMS that you can't forward in any other way, unlikely, but okay, I understand sometimes that's an issue, then you have several options. One is you can use 2 phones. I don't like doing that, but you could do that. I know a lot of people who are international who do that. They have a primary phone for their primary phone number in their home country, and then they have a second phone and they swap out SIM cards whenever they travel for their second phone. Another option is you could get a phone with dual SIMs. There are dual SIM phones, and they're actually a lot less expensive than you think. My primary phone is a Nokia 5.4. It's an Android phone. It's a pretty cheap phone, but it's a dual SIM phone. It's kind of nice. Now, unfortunately for me, my primary phone number is American, and American SIM cards from American cell phone companies don't work well when you put them in a dual SIM phone. Thanks, America. Every other country works fine, but for some reason, American SIM cards are a little pissy with dual SIM phones. So unfortunately for me, what I have to do when I travel is I have my primary dual SIM phone. I have my second American phone number that I use for other things like TikTok and Snapchat and a bunch of apps I don't want on my main phone. And I use that for that purpose. And then in my second phone, I have my Dubai SIM card with my primary phone number, all my Dubai stuff in there. And then I have that second SIM card bay for wherever I'm visiting. If I go to Armenia, Mexico, Paraguay, doesn't matter. I can slap that SIM card in and I'm good to go. Also, another piece to this is that if you regularly visit certain countries, while you're there, you should just buy several SIM cards, especially if they're cheap, and especially if the process of purchasing a SIM card is time consuming. For example, if you go to Armenia, you can buy a SIM card and it takes about 10 seconds. Same thing with Mexico. If you go to Paraguay, when you buy a SIM card, it's a big fucking process. You have to show them your passport. You got to fill out a bunch of forms. You got to sit there and wait on their computers that are very slow, and you might be sitting there for a half an hour. So if that's the case, buy 3 SIM cards. They're like $6 each or whatever. Who cares? Buy a bunch of them. I have a closet right over there where I have a whole bunch of SIM cards for multiple countries. And every time I go visit that country again, I just grab that SIM card, slap it in my phone, and as soon as I land, I have internet and I am good to go for the entire trip. Sometimes I don't even use all the minutes from the SIM card and I can reuse the same SIM card. But if I'm not sure, I'll bring that SIM card plus a backup SIM card just to be sure. So there's a lot of ways you can manage this. My point is, don't be afraid to buy SIM cards. I've noticed a lot of people who are international travelers or international lifestyle people are still kind of weird about buying a SIM card because they think it's difficult, or they think it'll screw up their phone, or they think it's expensive. That used to be the case many, many years ago. That is no longer the case now. You can travel all over the world, buy very inexpensive SIM cards, and they work as long as you keep your American SIM card out of your dual SIM phone. Hack number 2. Buy your underwear and your socks instead of packing them. This is something I started doing many years ago, and I was kind of amazed that I didn't think of it sooner. I love these guys who are gone for 3 weeks. So they pack 21 pairs of underwear and 6 or 7 pairs of socks or whatever, and they fill up their bag with all this underwear and socks. Here's what you do instead. It's very simple. Instead, pack maybe 3 pairs of underwear and 1 or 2 pairs of socks. Then when you land, get settled. You got 3 days to get settled. Then go to any store, it doesn't matter where, and buy the underwear there. And then when you're done with your trip, guess what? You just throw the underwear away. That's what I do. It's not a big deal. Underwear is cheap. Well, Caleb, that sounds expensive. Underwear is not expensive. Underwear is cheap. Buy cheap underwear. Jesus Christ, do you need Versace underwear? No, you don't. Buy cheap underwear. It doesn't really matter. Wear it once and then throw it away instead of washing the underwear. I used to do that too. So I'd bring like 10 pairs of underwear for a 3-week trip, and then I'd spend time washing the underwear or getting it washed. And finally one day I said, why am I doing this? I'll just buy underwear here and throw it away. And whatever it costs, just add that to the budget of your trip. It's just a few dollars. You won't even notice it. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle. But Caleb, then I have to worry about getting underwear. Okay, fine. Then pack 5 pairs of underwear. You got 5 days to figure it out. It's not a big deal. All you have to do, even in countries you don't speak the language, find someone who speaks English and say, where can I buy underwear? I do it all the time. It's perfectly fine. But Caleb, if you don't speak English, how are you going to communicate to the store clerk that you need underwear, or what size of underwear? Usually that's not a problem, but I've had scenarios where they literally spoke no English. And so what I did this in China one time. I walked into a big store. I walked up to one of the female clerks, and she didn't speak any English. She spoke Chinese. And I literally turned to the side and pulled up my underwear, the little strap of my underwear, and pointed at it. And she goes, oh, right over here. And she showed me right to the underwear. She looked at me. She gave me the correct size. We were good to go. It's not a big deal. Outcome independence. Stop being a pussy. Just ask. And it saves you a lot of time, a lot of hassle, a lot of packing, and a lot of room so that you can pack effectively, which I'll cover in a minute. By the way, if you're thinking about moving to a less bad country, which you should if you live in the collapsing Western world, you should go to escapeplancourse.com. That is my course, Escape Plan, where I show you exactly how to determine a better country for you and exactly step-by-step instructions on how to move to that new country. It's one of my most popular courses. I strongly suggest you take a look. Next travel hack, and I'm shocked that men don't do this. I understand why women don't do this, but there are men who don't do this, and I'm still very confused. And that is, and this should be obvious, but for some men it isn't, just have 1 pair of shoes. So take whatever shoes that are the most versatile that you own, wear them on the plane, don't pack any more shoes. But Caleb, I have a business appointment, I can't wear tennis shoes. Then fine, wear some neutral shoes that are brown or something that are good for walking around, and wear those. Yes, there are times when I've traveled abroad where I had to wear a suit top or a suit and a tie, and I had to wear shoes that were not loafers, that were more like, travel shoes. That's okay. It's not a big deal. Take a deep breath and relax. 1 pair of shoes is all you need. Sometimes, on rare occasions, you might look a little weird. Who gives a fuck? Outcome independence. Stop giving a shit. It's not that big of a deal. In my opinion, in order to travel light and to reduce your stress when you travel and be a more effective traveler, you don't want to fill up your backpack with another pair of shoes, or God forbid, 2 pairs of shoes, because you need 1 pair of tennis shoes and 1 pair of business shoes and 1 pair. No, you don't. You fucking don't. And I'm an international businessman. I do business all over the world. I travel with 1 pair of shoes. I've never had a single problem. It's okay. Back in the olden days, when I used to pack 21 pairs of underwear, I would do the same thing. And I would wear like tennis shoes on the plane, but I'd pack my business shoes because I need business shoes, my business appointments. It was stupid. It was useless. Don't do that. By the way, if you find this content useful, you should subscribe to this channel. You should like this video and click the notification bell and leave a comment on this video. Say whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. As long as you do more algorithm-friendly things, I can continue to produce content like this for you for free. Hack number 4. Again, this should be an obvious thing, but most guys don't do this because they don't want to do this. And that is, force yourself to put everything in one bag. Now, I have some articles at my blogs. You can check them out at sovereignCEO.io or calebjones.com. They both go to the same website, where I actually show pictures of how I do this. But in the vast majority of the trips I take, up to 3 weeks, I have one bag. Just one. I have a backpack. I used to have a rolling bag. These days I have a backpack. I think I like that a little better. And so I put everything I need in that backpack. I can survive in a foreign land up to almost 3 weeks with one bag. That's it. One bag. Why? Because I do everything I'm talking about. I don't pack a bunch of underwear, socks. I don't pack a separate pair of shoes. I just bring what I absolutely need. Don't be a chick. Don't think you have to pack 27 shirts and 47 pairs of pants and an extra pair of shoes and a bunch of bathroom bullshit. Just pack what you need, bare minimum. 2 or 3 pairs of underwear, 1 or 2 pair of socks, no shoes because you're wearing your shoes, one nice button-down shirt. You could pack maybe one more t-shirt because, again, you're going to wear a t-shirt on the plane. Not a big deal. Force yourself to figure out how to get everything in one bag. Now, sub-point to this. At a bare minimum, never check bags. I literally never check bags. Worst case scenario, if I'm going somewhere for a month and it's not one of my flags, in my flag countries, I have all my stuff already there, either in an apartment or a storage unit. But if I'm going somewhere new where I don't have stuff there and it's an entire month, I might need to pack 2 bags. A backpack plus a second backpack I strap on the first backpack, 2 bags total. But that's still enough to get me on the plane without checking any bags, because you're allowed to bring 2 bags onto a plane, especially if you're careful. I never, ever check bags. If you check bags, you add all kinds of problems, all kinds of overhead, all kinds of time, and all kinds of headache to your travel. I never check bags. The only time I ever have to mess with check bags is when I travel with my wife. She's a girl, so she has to check 14,000 bags. But other than that, that's usually not the case. Usually I'm traveling alone. I do not check bags. When the plane lands, I get right off that plane. I don't have to worry about baggage claim. I get right in the taxi Uber and I get to where I'm going. I don't have to fuck around with bags at all. I also don't have to worry about lost bags. I also have to worry about if the plane gets delayed or the plane gets rerouted or I miss my flight because of some kind of cerveza sickness problem, which has happened to me in the past through no fault of my own. I don't have to worry about, oh my God, where are my bags now? Because that's the problem in the modern era with cerveza sickness, where flights are constantly being rejiggered around and all kinds of good shit. You don't have to worry about this because all of your stuff is right on your back. Don't have to worry about it. By the way, I will add one more thing. I wasn't planning on talking about this. This is a change I made. I mentioned this earlier. What I used to do was have a very small rolling bag with a long handle that I would roll behind me. If that's what you do, that's okay, but you might want to experiment with a backpack instead. I finally one day broke down and said, let me try this. Let me try a backpack. And I think I like it better. I'm much more maneuverable with a backpack on. I don't feel the weight as much. My hands are completely free, which is really nice when you're traveling for logistics. So you might want to give a backpack a try if you're the rolling bag type guy that I used to be. I've been traveling now for about, I would say, 2.5 years with nothing but a backpack when I made that change. And it's a positive change. I strongly recommend it. Get a good backpack. Don't get a backpack that is too large. Get an average size, normal backpack. I have several backpacks in my closet over there. Something that is very simple and something that's very sturdy. It's better to spend money on a quality backpack that won't tear or rip than to spend extra money on a bigger backpack or one of these foofy fancy backpacks that are too small. Hack number 5. If you are staying for a long time, and I would define a long time as maybe, longer than 2 to 3 weeks. Strongly consider buying all your bathroom stuff when you arrive. Similar to the underwear thing, just bring the bare minimum you will need for the first night there. Maybe a toothbrush or something and some toothpaste. Maybe that's it. Because remember that soap, body soap, shampoo, conditioner will already be where you're going in the hotel or Airbnb or staying at your friend's house. You probably don't need to worry about that stuff, so you don't need to pack that stuff. But everything else, all the other toiletries type stuff that you need to pack, like your deodorant, cologne, gel, hairspray, whatever the fuck you bring with you, strongly consider just buying that crap there. Again, it's very easy to buy. Often you could buy it at the airport, but Caleb, it's more expensive at the airport. Okay, then don't buy it at the airport. Buy it at some other store if you want. It's actually easier to buy at the airport. I would just buy it at the airport and just factor in an extra $100 for the cost of the entire trip for incidentals or toiletries. Just do that. The only time you can't do that is if you're using special lotion and shit, and that's fine. That's only 1 or 2 bottles. But I strongly suggest you do this on longer trips because, again, you want everything to fit in one bag. It doesn't make sense to pack a bunch of stuff in your bag that you can easily purchase for a reasonable amount of money at the airport as soon as you land. Again, particularly for longer trips. Now, maybe if you're staying somewhere for 4 or 5 days, it's probably not worth doing that. Even then it might be, it depends on you. So that's not a big deal, but strongly consider this, especially if you don't have global entry or TSA pre or one of these other non-American versions of this stuff where you have to take the liquids out of your bag and put them in a little Ziploc bag and show the guy, and they have to make sure it fits in this certain size bag and all that BS. Better to just not pack liquids at all if you can get away with it. That's it. If you do those 5 things, you're going to be a much more stress-free international traveler. And if you want an example of how I've designed my 5 flags life, including the countries I use as flags, one of the most common questions I get, watch this video right here for a specific example of how I'm doing this. I'll see you in the next video. Have fun.